everyone, Tula here with Key Wellness, and in my last video I promised to tell you my latest story about manifesting. So that's what this video is going to be about. So as I mentioned, we were hit with 2 hurricanes in a row, Debbie and then a few weeks later, Helene. Debbie was a Cat 4, I believe, and Helene was a Cat 5. And I mentioned that there's always a silver lining. And the silver lining is that before either hurricane, I had been manifesting to put a new roof on my house. Or should I say, all of the residences and buildings that are on my property. And I had a roofing company give me an estimate on that, and the estimate to cover everything was 80 squares. That equates to 8,000 square feet of roofing. That's a very expensive job, especially considering the specific type of roofing I wanted to give the house the appearance of slate. It's a Southern colonial style home, you know, the kind with the big porch, the columns, the brick flooring on the porch, your typical plantation style home, if you will. Plus there's, you know, a very large carport and other buildings and other residences on the property. So altogether it was going to be quite a bit of roofing. That means it was going to be very expensive. And so I said, I guess I'm going to have to manifest for this. And so I set out, I set my intention, had a little conversation with the universe like I typically do. And when I'm manifesting, I just have daughter to dad type conversation with the universe. I just lay it out there, you know, like, hey, listen up. Like I would when I was a kid with my dad. I'd just be like, you know what, universe? I need a new roof on my house. Take a walk outside, take a look at the house from the outside, and I'm imagining what I want the roof to look like. I'm visualizing it in my mind. And I'm having my conversation with the universe. What do you think of that? Wouldn't that be nice? I think that's the perfect roof for this house. Let's do it, okay? Yeah, it's done. Thanks, universe. I can't wait for my new roof. And then I would go out there regularly and just kind of look at it and go, man, I'm loving the new roof, loving the vision, loving it, and really feeling the vibes of the new roof. I would do this from time to time. This is part of my manifesting process. And then go about my business, not worrying about when it's coming or how it's coming. I just know I set the intention out there, and given all the other things that I have manifested in my life, and you'll do this too, the more you manifest, the more secure you'll feel in what you manifest. And so you don't worry about it. You don't sweat the details. You put your intention out there. You know the universe is conspiring in your favor, and so you just let it go. And so that's what I did. And I went about my business, and then it was shortly before Christmas. And I went out to the mailbox, and there was an odd piece of mail. And it was addressed to the name I had when I was married, you know, before my husband died, which if you listen to one of my other videos, you'll hear about how we lost everything when he died. And then, you know, once again, there was a silver lining. But he had left me life insurance at that time, and also in one of my prior stories, I explained how the life insurance didn't pay and how it was a big battle. Well, this was the other part of what he had promised me. Now, before he died, he had always said, well, if anything ever happens to me, you are my beneficiary on the life insurance and on my 401k. So if anything ever happens to me, you need to go collect this money. And I never gave the 401k a thought at the time. I was going through so much at that time, and nobody ever reached out to me. It just wasn't something on my radar. I had so much on my plate, and I was busy battling trying to get the life insurance. And if you listen to the video on that, you can get the story there. So what hung in the balance for over 20 years, in fact, it was the 22nd year anniversary of his death had just passed, and now it was the Christmas after, and I get a letter from the investment company that was holding the 401k, and it had been sitting there, and it had been growing for 22 years. and it was addressed to me. And of course, they were reaching out and they wanted me to contact them regarding beneficiary of the 401k. And so I began this process. It turned out to be a large sum of money, almost $500,000. But the story doesn't end there. That's not how I got my roof. There's always a kink. And, I'm very energetically sensitive. I have a strong sixth sense. I'm a remote viewer. And even though it was really, really good news, when I opened the envelope and I was reading it, I felt this sickness in my stomach. And I sat down on a chair in my living room, and it was Christmas time. So my adult daughter was there, and she looked at me and she thought I must have gotten some bad news. And she said, well, what is that? And I didn't know what to say at the time, so I decided I would stay the topic. But then later, I gathered my family and I broke a cardinal rule of manifesting. When you're manifesting, you never, and I mean never, never tell anybody that you're manifesting for something, and don't tell them what you're manifesting for. I was doing these videos at the time, and I would have loved to walk you guys through the process I was going through, but I won't break that rule. Well, I never had until this time. And so I did. And I sat the family down and I told them, you guys are adults now. This was supposed to be mine and Dad's retirement money. He's not here. And so we're going to invest it in the whole family. The real estate that I have is set aside, right? They're going to get it, and they stand to inherit all that I have manifested over my lifetime. And now this was going to add to it. But I said, we're going to have a little fun with this. It's a gift from your dad, and he and I were supposed to retire on this, and we were always going to go to New Zealand and Australia, but you guys may not want to do that. So let's talk about a family trip in his honor. And we'll do that instead of the trip Dad and I would have made. And so I broke the rule. I told my kids that I had been manifesting for this money, and that the main thing was that it was for the roof. But the roof wasn't going to cost that much money. And so we were going to go ahead and plan a European vacation. But it's important to note, right, that at this time, I didn't have the money in my hands yet. I had gotten the letter, and in my mind, that was the answer to my manifesting. That a lot of times when you ask the universe for something, pretty much every time I've asked the universe for something, if I don't meddle in the universe's business and don't get my hands in the pie and interfere with the chef in the kitchen, then the universe likes to show off. It will always do me one better. So I wanted a roof. I didn't care how it came about. But when I saw this money coming in, I said, well, it decided to go ahead and give me all the money for the roof and then some, plenty more for whatever else. So I didn't have the money in my hands, but I had this letter saying, you're the beneficiary, contact us, go through the process, we're going to send you some forms. I had talked with them on the phone, and everything was moving along. But there's a process, right? And I had to go through the process. However, when you're manifesting, there's always a process. And while you're still in the process, you don't talk about what it is you're doing. But I broke that cardinal rule. Now let me tell you why you don't tell anybody when you're in the process of manifesting. Whether other people realize that they are creator beings or not, their thoughts, their emotions also go into the quantum. And the more specific and targeted a thought or an emotion is, the more effective it is because it can set specific parameters. So evil eye is a real thing. Somebody looking at you and not really wanting the best for you. Jealousy is a real thing. Negative thinking and pre-programming, people who are programmed and indoctrinated, that's a real thing. And covetousness is a real thing. There are a lot of reactions that people have to your manifesting. And when you tell them what you're manifesting for, or that you're manifesting anything at all. You open the door for them to interject their thoughts and emotions and their energy into the equation. And that can interfere with your manifesting. It could interfere either by them directly interjecting their energy into your process. It could also interfere by them creating negative emotions within you, creating doubt within you. And so you become less effective in your own manifestation process. So this is why you never tell anyone, because you're inviting a wild card. You're inviting the potential for that to happen. Now, there is one caveat to that, and I mentioned in another video that when people are working together towards something, it's exponential. So let's say you agree with somebody that you need something and you're going to manifest for it together. You double your intention. When you add a third person, you double it again. It's exponential. But that's when you know for sure. This is why, and I mentioned in the other video, there's things like prayer groups and stuff, because people are putting their intentions together and they're multiplying those intentions exponentially. But when you're doing something by yourself, like I was manifesting for a roof, that is something that had meaning to me. And yes, ultimately, that increases the value of the house, right? So that makes something better for my kids to inherit. So yes, they'll benefit from it. But I was the one with the great motivation to put the new roof on the house. So something I should keep to myself. But when I got the letter concerning this inheritance, I jumped the gun. I got ahead of myself. I said, there it is. The universe is answered. And so I sat down and I told my kids about it. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of what happened and who did what. I'm just going to say that money can bring out the worst in people. And I have seen many times where family members are some of the worst. So you're not necessarily safe sharing things about money when it comes to friends, family. It's better just to say nothing. And again, I'm not going to go into the details, but what I am going to say is that there was a very big interference. And mind you, this was December of 2023. It's going on 3 years from now, because as I'm doing this, it is June of 2026. That particular issue is still in limbo. There was an interference. I can't get into the details of what happened, but obviously there was someone who wanted to have that money. And so, by virtue of the fact that I broke that cardinal rule, and this is the exact reason why you don't break that rule, it is now in limbo. So it has yet to be determined what will happen. So that did not bring me my roof, but it did teach me a very valuable lesson. And at some point, I guess I'll find out what's going to happen with that. But back to the roof. So all of this happens, and of course, to me, it was very upsetting. Far more upsetting than not being able to get the roof was that there was a trust issue and things like that. Whenever there's betrayal, that can be, if you're a person who cares about other people and you're trusting and you love the people that you love, when there's a betrayal, that is far more devastating and far more impactful than the loss of even an inheritance that is almost $500,000. So there was still the issue of the roof. So before I get into the part about the roof, I want to note and just remind that this is a process. So it's taking months to go through the paperwork, and this interference that's happening is going on in secret. I'm not aware of it, and it is slowing the process. On my end, it just looked like one fumble after another on the part of the investment company, and they could not tell me what was going on, but this interference was going on secretly, and I didn't know and never suspected. And so this is dragging on, right? This is dragging on for months. And we move into 2024, and this is when the 2 hurricanes hit. So I don't know what is going on, but the universe sees everything, and the universe sees whatever. I don't know. It knows, right? What is going to ultimately happen. But there was still an agreement. I had manifested and had no reason to believe that I would not get my roof. So the universe said, well, I will just have to conspire around this thing that is going on. So the money that was going to cover the roof gets put on a back burner. It is still in limbo. And then we get these 2 hurricanes. And this is then what happens as a result of the 2 hurricanes. I then have damage to my existing roof. And so I turn an insurance claim. And of course, Helene was such a big hurricane that there's no questioning, right? That there's going to be severe wind damage from a Cat 5. And the insurance company comes back, which was shocking to me because I've never had an insurance company actually want to go above and beyond. But they said, oh yes, we will re-roof everything. And in addition, the sub-roofing, because it's an older house. Remember, well, if you listen to one of my videos on my manifesting, I wanted like this older house with the older construction, with all the quality and things you can't get in today's construction. And so it was this older house, and the codes are different. How they did roofing at the time the house was built versus how roofing should be done now. So they actually redid everything underneath, and I have a whole new roofing system. Everything was brought up to date, and so now I have this gorgeous roof that is everything that I wanted, and it's not on just the main house. It's on everything, and insurance covered it all. So my point is, when you believe that the universe is conspiring in your favor, when you manifest for something, don't fall into doubt, even when it looks like everything is blowing up in your face. Just trust that the universe has your back. And the more you do this, the more you manifest, the more you feel like you're in partnership with the universe, the more confidence you have in this, and the better you feel about it. Here's how I want to explain it to you, why I don't mind manifesting and why I have no guilt in wanting things. I just got done talking about how everything about this house and how I handled finding out about this inheritance. What was my initial inclination? What does my heart tell me to do? What was the first thing I did? Why did I break the cardinal rule? Because I wanted to give good things to my children. I wanted to see their faces light up. I wanted them to want the adventure, the European vacation. I wanted to see the joy on their faces. I wanted to feel that great feeling that there's no other feeling like it when you give somebody something and you're watching them enjoy it. Now, that's me, and I'm just me. Imagine the universe. The universe has everything at its disposal. So when you get into this relationship with the universe where you are free to be a child, to be childlike before the universe, and you just, hey, I would really love to do this or have this or whatever it is, then the universe is thrilled to give it to you. Now, at the same time, if you break a cardinal rule like I did, and it's like, oh man, you fumbled that. You messed it up. But I'll tell you what, we had an agreement. I'm still going to give it to you, but I'm going to let you stew in this for a while so you learn this lesson. And it doesn't matter how it turns out. I understand, okay? And I own that. But the universe equally says, well, I understand, and I own this roof that I promised you I would get to you. So don't be afraid. and don't feel guilty about wanting things and expecting things and asking for things, because the universe doesn't just answer. It wants to do these things. It is experiencing through you. You're like an avatar for it. And it is experiencing all of these great things through you. So when you feel that excitement, like I do after I saw the new roof on my house, when I feel that excitement and that gratitude, the universe is experiencing it through me. So when I have an adventure and I'm partnering with the universe to experience this adventure, I am giving the universe an opportunity to expand and to grow and to experience something great through me. So it is a partnership. You're not just taking, you are giving, because the universe is using you to experience what it cannot, being everything. Everything is the one, and the one is the everything. So it's not separate. The only way it can experience these things that we experience as human beings is through human beings. So you give it the opportunity to have an adventure when you want something. That's a great reason to never feel guilty about wanting something. So that was a manifestation with a big monkey wrench in it, and the universe delivered anyway. So I wanted you to hear that story so that you could remember that even when it looks like, oh my gosh, it's not going to happen, don't give up. Don't lose hope. It's coming. It's just going to have to be a different way. Sit back, enjoy it. Let the universe worry about the when, the how, and you just worry about the what. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informational and maybe encouraging for you. Please comment below if there's anything you'd like for me to expound upon, anything you'd like for me to touch on, and I will be more than happy to include that in future videos. So thanks for visiting today. This is Tula signing out. Have a great day.